Are people fed up with Fort Collins? In today's video, I'm breaking down the 6 reasons why some people are choosing to pack up and move out of Fort Collins. We'll look at what this means for current residents as well as anyone who is looking to move here. Let's get into it. Fort Collins has long been one of Colorado's most loved places to live, ranking top in schools, safety, quality of life, and has been even ranked on America's most peaceful cities to live more than once. But lately, more and more people are asking themselves, is it still worth it? Are people really moving out of Fort Collins? And are there actually a larger number of people leaving than coming in? In reality, Fort Collins is still growing overall, but the net migration has definitely shifted and slowed. For instance, in 2025, the net migration pattern is 26% lower than it was before the pandemic. Fort Collins got launched into a massive growth cycle, and we are finally seeing the come down of that. So let's get into what's causing this and what is causing so many people to pack up and leave the area. Number one is the fast growth and density. Once the secret was out about how amazing Fort Collins is, the population boomed. And with popular growth comes growing pains like more traffic, longer wait times, busier trails, and a general sense of crowdedness while the city tries to adapt to the influx of new residents. For people who originally moved here for a quieter pace of life or a small town feel, this shift can be enough to make them consider a change, especially for longtime locals who remember when Fort Collins was just a quiet little town. And so this can be difficult for some people to accept the growth, but for some, it's the more the merrier. Like for me, having been born and raised here, there is definitely a part of me that reminisces about how things used to be or how things used to look or feel. But I also think it's been so cool to watch the city grow, change, and flourish into this mini metropolitan where we have so many businesses thriving. We have more diversity and inclusion and a stronger sense of community than ever. Insurance costs. Homeowners and auto insurance rates in Colorado have increased due to wildfire risk, hailstorms, winds, and other weather-related claims. An example of this was a recent payout in a hailstorm of May 2024 in Denver. The area got hit so badly that the storm nearly caused $2 billion of overall damage across Colorado. Much of this included roofs, cars, and other property destroyed by severe hail. So, with that being said, of course, many insurance companies have reacted to the change of weather patterns here in the area and increased rates for many. And for some households, insurance alone has added hundreds or even thousands of dollars annually to their overall costs, making their cost of living feel much heavier than it used to be. With that, the increased population also increases insurance rates. Denser population rates usually tend to increase accident risks, crime, etc. So just keep in mind, as the population in Fort Collins increases, you might see a trending increase in insurance in coming years as well. In addition, people are also noticing difficulty placing insurance if their home is closer to the foothills or the mountains due to wildfire risk. If you are looking into purchasing a home in Fort Collins and you want to be near or in the foothills, making sure that you have a good insurance agent before you begin your journey is key. That's something that me and my team do all the time for our clients. We make sure that we are putting them in contact with trusted agents that will take care of them and make sure that we're able to get good insurance placed before any closing. While some people may not be bothered by the rising insurance costs and difficulty to place insurance, it does sway the decision to move here for some. And remember, it really depends on where you're coming from. The insurance costs might be lower coming from California, they were, but this has become a big factor for people who are deciding to live here, coming from smaller cities or less expensive areas of the country. Moving on, number 3 is the somewhat extreme and unpredictable weather. While Fort Collins does have 4 beautiful seasons, lovely spring, hot and dry summer, mild falls that last for months, and recently very mild winters along the Front Range, the weather volatility has become a bigger concern in recent years due to the drier winters, hot summers, more extreme winds, and larger and more frequent hail. With these changes brings drought conditions, which brings wildfire risk, smoke, poor air quality, and temperature swings that are more frequent than ever. Having grown up in Fort Collins, I can attest to the weather changes. We didn't even have wildfires until recently. I think the first recorded wildfire near Fort Collins was in the 2000s, and now they are something that is on everybody's mind all summer long, unfortunately. The weather here really isn't for everyone. Some residents decide that they are ready for a more predictable weather climate, especially those with health concerns. People with outdoor dependent jobs or young children are all deciding that they are maybe wanting more predictable weather and moving to areas that can appease that lifestyle. The number 4 reason why people are moving, especially investors and landlords, has to do with the changing rental regulations. Colorado, and specifically Fort Collins, has strengthened tenant protections in recent years, which many renters appreciate, but landlords feel like the balance has shifted, making it harder and riskier to own rental property here and protect their financial assets. Property owners are choosing to sell and invest elsewhere, which can also influence rental availability and long-term housing decisions. There are still ways to navigate these new laws to make sure that you are protected as well as your tenants. And also remember that Fort Collins has always had a strong rental market, especially with the university in town sitting at 34,000 students. They all need a place to live if they're not living on campus. It is a very good rental market here. We just have to adapt and be flexible with these new laws as they get placed in the city. And number 5 is definitely something that surprises a lot of my clients when they move here, which is the politics. I think a lot of people look at Colorado as very liberal, very progressive. While there are pockets of liberal, progressive areas, Denver, Boulder, Fort Collins more so, things like that, there are massive areas that are conservative, Republican parties that have different views. The state is almost divided in half from the Front Range, east of I-25, and even some smaller mountain towns tend to be a little more conservative, things like that. So in Fort Collins, back in the day, we were just a small farming town, and I'm talking like early 90s, late 80s. Before that, I remember when a lot of the major thoroughfares were just dirt roads. We were once upon a time a smaller farming community, and I think the shift of growth and the politics and becoming more progressive and more liberal has caused many of the longtime local people to just kind of want to be around more like-minded people. All right, number 6 is the one that I hear the most from people who have been here a while, which is the cost of housing. Both rents and housing prices have skyrocketed in recent years, which has deterred new people from moving to Fort Collins, but it has also made it really appealing for longtime residents to cash out and move away. For many other residents, especially first-time homebuyers, young families, and retirees, the cost of living here no longer aligns with their income or lifestyle goals. Having relocated back to Fort Collins from California, I can say that the housing prices are a giant relief to me personally, comparative to what I was paying out there. And I know that for people who are coming from places like Miami, Seattle, certain areas of the East Coast, Chicago, and almost all of California, you will probably see a decrease in rents and housing prices. But for many smaller or similar sized cities in the United States, prices here may be a shock to you. Although it has become more expensive depending on where you're coming from, it may be less than what you're paying now. A lot of people aren't leaving Colorado entirely. They are choosing nearby cities where they can get more space or have lower monthly rent payments. Places like Loveland, which is directly south of Fort Collins, or Wellington, which is just, 10 or 15 minutes north of Fort Collins. We also have areas like Johnstown and Longmont, Berthoud, all of these surrounding cities that give you more bang for your buck. And they are just a short drive, 20, 30 minutes from Fort Collins. Understanding that you are truly paying a premium to live in the city itself. You're closer to outdoor access. You have a fantastic community. The community in Fort Collins is not going to be the same community that you're going to get in Severance or Timnath or Loveland. It's really just knowing what's important to you. If you want a bigger house for less money and don't care about community, Severance might be a great fit for you. Just knowing that there are so many other communities in northern Colorado that you can choose from. A lot of people still choose Fort Collins for the access to the amenities, the amazing community, the top-rated schools, the activities, the parades, the festivals, and just the overall lifestyle. If your goals align with maybe a small town vibe, you want to get more for your money, things like that, there are many communities outside of Fort Collins that can fit your lifestyle. If you have any questions about these surrounding communities, be sure to reach out. I can help you. I'm happy to walk you through what each town looks like, what it has to offer, what the school systems look like, different neighborhoods, things like that. So while I am centered here in Fort Collins, I grew up here, so I am very familiar with all the surrounding cities as well. All right, so there you have it. These are just some of the factors causing some residents to pause, reassess, and decide what makes most sense for their next chapter of life. This doesn't mean that Fort Collins is failing or everyone is leaving, because it's not. Plenty of people are still moving here for the lifestyle, access to the outdoors, strong communities, and great schools. So if you were thinking about moving to Fort Collins or northern Colorado and wondering whether it fits your lifestyle, your budget, and goals, I am happy to help you make sure that you end up exactly where you need to be in northern Colorado. And if you haven't already done so, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, drop a comment and any question below, or reach out directly. My contact information is in the description below. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next video.